What's up, y'all? It is your favorite Clarity Coach, Miranda Alexis, and I am back with another YouTube video. So today this video is it's a little touchy. It is a very touchy subject. I am sharing my testimony about how the Lord has delivered me from the spirit of homosexuality, and what better month to share it in than June, which is Pride Month. So first and foremost, I am proud to be delivered, and I take pride in God's promises and how He never left me or forsaked me when I was out, in the world doing what old Lex wanted to do, and how He still loved me and still cared for me. So I'm very grateful to be able to be here to share my testimony and to be able to help, someone else who may be struggling with the spirit of homosexuality. So we're just gonna jump right on into it. So like pretty much anything, a lot of situations that we deal with start, of course, in our childhood and how we grew up. For me, I can say that, when you're young, I grew up with a whole bunch of cousins. And so, when you're little and you're young, of course, the game that everybody plays is mama and daddy. And, one person got to be the mama and one person got to be the daddy. So I remember playing that game with one of my cousins, which was a female. And I remember that was my first time ever kissing a girl, was when I was a little girl. And then other times we would play the game, with my male cousins, and they would be a little hands-on, a little touchy. And so, of course, that's not good either. So just, having the spirit of perversion and then the spirit of homosexuality, starting at a very young age. But growing up, I never really had an attraction to women. I didn't deal with that growing up, through like my adolescent years. I grew up in church, so I always knew that, homosexuality was a sin. Nobody really expounded and said why, but it was like, this is not what you're supposed to do. If you do it, you're going to hell. So, that was pretty much, that was it. So I always had this fear of, being in, a same-sex relationship, and it was looked down upon, it was frowned upon. So who wanted to, be, in that type of relationship where people wouldn't accept you? So around the time when I was about 19, I was working, and I worked with this girl, and there was a group of us, and we were all really close friends. But this one particular girl, we were hanging out one day, and she ended up telling me that she had a crush on me, which was very unexpected because she was very feminine. She was really pretty. She was the type of girl who got all, the male attention. She wasn't a fast girl, but she was pretty. So, of course, dudes wanted to talk to her. So I never assumed that she would be interested in females. So, one day we were at her house, and one thing led to another, and that actually was my first sexual encounter with a woman, was when I was 19. And I remember leaving her apartment, and I felt so disgusted. Like, I felt very uncomfortable. I remember crying and just feeling dirty and shamed. And I ended up having a conversation with her afterwards, and she, I was explaining to her about how I felt uncomfortable and how I didn't want to take things any further, and she respected that, honestly. She was like, she gets it, it's cool. She didn't make me feel bad or anything, or, you know how people do. She didn't do any of that. You know, she respected how I felt, and we moved on. Like, that was the first and the last time. But now I am, you know, battling spiritually with the spirit of homosexuality. I go on and I find myself being, you know, attracted to other women, but I never really acted on it. I kept dating guys, and then ultimately I got married. I did have a conversation with my husband at the time, and I told him that, you know, I had engaged in that situation with a female, and just being open about it and telling him that, you know, I still was attracted to women, and that was something that I was battling. But, you know, of course now I'm married, so, you know, that's not, you know, something he had to worry about. But I found myself like watching lesbian porn when he wasn't around, and the attraction to women just became stronger. Like, it just grew on me. The spirit of homosexuality just continued to grow. But like I said, I wasn't really acting on anything because I was in a relationship. Fast forward, me and my husband are going through a divorce. We're separated, actually. And this one particular day, well, let me rewind. Let me go back a little bit. So, growing up, I never really had an example of what real love in a relationship between a man and a woman was supposed to look like. I didn't have that example. I did not really have that example in my marriage either. So I never knew what love was. Like, I knew what it felt like. I knew the temporary feeling of love, but the actual pureness of love and what a real healthy, you know, relationship between a man and a woman was supposed to feel or look like, I didn't have that. And so, just going on throughout my marriage, you know, I just found myself dealing with rejection, dealing with abandonment. You know, we both did some hurtful things to each other, and I was tired. You know, I was tired. I wanted something different for myself. And this one particular day, I found myself just really stressed out at work. I found myself really stressed out at work, and I had a friend who was at work who was homosexual, and she and I, we were friends, but we never really like crossed the boundaries. Like, it was never no, you know, like no interest or anything. Like, it wasn't like that. And so, I mean, she was cute, but I was married, so it wasn't like, and she had a girlfriend, so the lines never really got crossed. So this one particular day, I was really stressed out. I was going through, you know, just some hard stuff in my relationship and just being in my marriage. And I ended up smoking weed with this girl. And I got home later than what I normally did. So, long story short, my husband at the time, he was like, you know, he felt like just something was off, or that I was entertaining somebody else. And for a while, like, I just ignored it. Like, you know, we would smoke a couple times after work, and, you know, I just ignored it. Like, you're crazy. Like, something's wrong with you. Like, I'm not cheating on you, so that's not what it is. And I wasn't. Like, I really wasn't. I was not cheating on him. But I was actually confiding in somebody who I shouldn't have been confided in as a married woman, and then releasing, you know, those stresses by, you know, smoking marijuana. So one particular day, I was just open and I was honest about it. And I told him, like, hey, you know, let's not, you know, act like things are all peachy at home, because they're not. Like, I'm unhappy, I'm stressed out, and I've just been smoking with this girl after work. That's it. So I showed him a picture of the girl, and I was completely honest. I was like, you know, I think she's cute, But, you know, and this is just me being honest. Like, I think she's cute, but no lines were crossed. She's never even tried me. You know, we're just strictly friends. We smoke, we go about our separate ways. That's it. And so he looked at me, and then I think just because a lot of stuff had already happened in our marriage, and him knowing that I was dealing with, you know, the spirit of homosexuality, he was just like, yeah, he was done. He was done, and my mind was blown. I was baffled, honestly, because I really felt like, you know, after everything that I've put up with and after everything that I've endured throughout this situation, throughout our relationship, and here I am, you know, you're telling me I can be completely honest with you no matter what it is. And I am like shaking in my boots, even though I haven't really done anything wrong, you know, as far as like cheating, but like, you know, but I'm still honest. And I tell you, you know, the situation and what's going on. And I just felt like he kicked me when I was down, honestly. I had given him so many passes. I had given him so many chances, you know, after, you know, so much that I had endured through our relationship. And, you know, here I am being open and honest about, you know, me being broken and me being hurt, and using weed to, you know, kind of ease that pain. And instead of him saying, you know, well, let's fix it, he was just like, he didn't want to be with me no more. And so I was like, are you sure? Like, are you sure this is what you want? Because honestly, if I'm just gonna be honest, I was already praying for a way out. Like, I had already been praying to God for a way out of the relationship, because I had felt like it was done a long time ago. I just didn't know how to leave. And so at this point, I was honestly just there for the sake of my children. And he was like, yeah, like I'm done. Like, I feel like the Lord has taken his hand off of our marriage, and I want a divorce. So we separated. And I moved into my own place. And there was this other stud who I worked with as well. And I ended up meeting her through the girl he thought that I was cheating on him with, which I wasn't. And so we ended up meeting each other, and I don't know, it just felt different. Like, her energy felt safe. She instantly became like one of my closest friends. Of course, I was honest with her. I told her, you know, like, about my situation, about me being married, and, you know, me not, you know, wanting to engage into anything, because even though we weren't together, I was still married, and she respected that. And, you know, we would just vow to be friends. Like, we were just going to be friends. And over the course, I remember this one particular day, like, just like days that I would come to work, whatever, she would check on me, like, how are you doing? Like, you know, it was very, and let me tell you, at first, I ignored this woman, okay? Like, I would hide in my seat. I didn't want her to come talk to me. Like, my friends be like, oh, she walking down the aisle, and I would like slide down in my seat because I didn't want her to see me. Like, I was trying everything to avoid this woman, okay? And one particular day, I was just going through it. Like, I had been crying. I was late for work because of a situation that was going on at home. And I remember sitting in the car, and I was just like, Lex, you got to get it together. You got to get it together. Come wipe these tears off your face. You got to go to work and fake like you're okay. Then make it through the shift, and then you'll be good. You'll be free. So I did that. And I went in, you know, I'm acting like everything is fine or whatever. And I ended up going to the break room to go into the bathroom because I just needed to catch my breath. because I was still very emotional. And I ended up running into her. I ran into her, and she just looked at me, and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I'm fine. Like, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm good. Like, I'm good." And she was like, "Nah." She was like, and it was just like she picked up on my spirit. It was like she saw me when nobody else saw me, when everybody else really wasn't paying attention. Like, I had walked by so many people, I had went and spoke to people, and nobody picked up on my energy or that I wasn't okay. And when I saw her, she saw me. And I think that was the thing that really softened me up to her, and made me be nice to her, because it wasn't like I was being mean. It was just like I was just trying to avoid her this whole time. And after that situation, and she was like, if you need to talk, I'm here to listen. Just her being nice and her being genuine, it made me feel good. Honestly, it made me feel good. So we became friends, and then she instantly became like my best friend. I remember her actually telling me one particular time, like, we discussed, like, that there was an attraction that we had to one another, but she knew that I didn't want to act on anything, and neither did she, because she didn't want to be entangled with a married woman. That wasn't her style. And so I just remember having that conversation, and her literally telling me, she told me, because I was like, you know what, at this point, like, I like you. And it was more so me. Like, I'm not even going to lie. Like, and it was just, I think it was just the way she made me feel. Like, I had never, like, I felt safe in her space, and I've never experienced that before, honestly. Like, I felt so safe in her space. Like, I was able to just be myself, and I hadn't felt that, in a really, really, really long time, if at all, honestly. And not to that extent. And so I remember telling her, like, just like, like, I mean, and honestly, at this point, he had already, like, moved on, and he was talking to somebody else. And so I was like, like, why, like, what's the problem? Like, like, and she was like, I really think God just wants me to be your friend. And I was like, what? Like, what you mean? And she was like, I really think that, I'm really only supposed to be your friend. And so we remained friends for a while. Nothing ever happened. And then one particular day, we ended up engaging in sexual intercourse. And I mean, after that, we just began this, this relationship of where we went from being friends to being in a relationship. Honestly, the relationship with her lasted maybe about 2 years. And honestly, that was the best relationship that I had ever been in. I'm trying not to cry. But just the way that she loved me, and the way that she nurtured me, and the way that she cared, the way that she was there whenever I needed her, not just for me, but for me and my kids. She was my best friend. And I was happy, and people knew that I was happy, and they could see. People were telling me, like, girl, I haven't seen you this happy in a really long time. Like, whatever she doing, tell her to keep doing it. And it was true. Like, people who knew me, like, in my marriage or in other relationships, they were like, I've never seen you this happy before. And I mean, I was happy, y'all. I was so happy. I didn't care what nobody said. Eventually my family found out about it, and they weren't too, excited about it, but I didn't care about that. And so we continued to do our thing. We were in a relationship, and I always remembered like feeling like confused the whole time I was in that relationship. Even though I was happy, you know, even though we really didn't even have any bad moments or bad times, like at all. And so, but in the midst of it and being in that space, and even though I was happy and in love, I just remember feeling like something was wrong, like something was off, like my spirit was unsettled. And I would hear voices all the time, like telling me to get out of the relationship, that I needed to stop doing what I was doing. I would have like these gut feelings that I would ignore all the time. Like I ignored them all the time. And because I wanted to be there, and I didn't really see anything wrong with it, you know, like I wasn't, you know, getting abused, I wasn't being cheated on, I wasn't unhappy, like I was happy. Like we were living life. Like I was extremely happy. And so I ignored it all, and so for the sake of my flesh being happy. So fast forward, I remember just feeling like something was off. Things just didn't begin to feel the same anymore. The love that I once felt, I didn't feel anymore. Things just began to feel weird. And I can honestly say that it was probably nobody but the Holy Spirit just pulling us apart. Because there really wasn't anything wrong. It just felt off. Like things just felt off. Like I wasn't at peace in the relationship anymore. I remember us having a conversation and me telling her, you know, one particular time that I didn't think that I could continue to be in the relationship because I felt like it was wrong in my spirit. And I don't know, like even after that, I still remained, it was a hard conversation because I didn't want to hurt her, which it did hurt her feelings, because, you know, if you felt this way all along, then why did you continue to, you know, be in this relationship, which is what she said. And so I stayed, and about maybe like a year later, the beginning of last year, I want to say it was the beginning of last year or the year before last. We're in 2023. It was either 2022 or 21. I just had enough. Like enough was enough. And things just didn't feel right anymore, and I felt bad. I didn't want to hurt her, you know, her feelings, but I just felt like God was calling me out of that situation. And I would hear in my mind, in my thoughts all the time, like leave the relationship, leave. And it got to the point to where I was uncomfortable. Like I couldn't even ignore the voices anymore. I couldn't continue to battle in my spirit anymore. Like being in that relationship, being around her, like everything, like when there was once peace, it was turmoil now. Like it was like my spirit was so unsettled that I had no peace about the relationship. And so we ended up breaking up. And it was hard, y'all. I'm not even gonna sit here and act like it wasn't. It was very hard. It was hard. One, because I loved her so much. I cared about her so much, and I know that she loved me just the same, and she cared about me the same, and I didn't want to hurt her. I felt very guilty, I felt unworthy of her love. I felt very small. Like, I felt like she deserved so much better than me. Because how can I hurt someone who loves me this much, you know? So I, you know, as much as I, you know, tried to stay away from that relationship, it was hard. Like, I found myself just like kept going back and forth, until eventually I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I remember asking God, like, why? Like, why would you allow me to experience love on this level, and then take it from me? It was very hurtful. I was very angry. I was upset with God. I'm just gonna be real. I was upset with God, because I love this person. And what was wrong with me being in love with someone who was the same sex as me? Like, you know, like, we weren't out here, you know, doing bad things, you know what I'm saying? You know, we were genuinely loving one another. And I didn't understand it. I was angry. I was hurt. I was confused. And y'all, that was the hardest breakup like I've ever dealt with in my life. Because there were moments, because she was also my best friend. Not only did I lose someone who I was in a relationship with, I lost my best friend too. So in those moments where I needed somebody to talk to, or I needed somebody a shoulder to lean on, I would typically go to her, and I didn't have that. And so it was like a double death in a way. And I was grieving really, really bad. I became depressed. I had depression really bad. I had anxiety really bad. I went through a horrible season of loneliness. I was angry. And I just remember telling God, like, you know, even though I don't understand it, and that was my heart posture. Like, I had got to a point in the relationship where I was like, you know, Lord, I know that you're shaking this up. So whatever it is that you want me to do at this point, I'm just going to do it because it's so uncomfortable. So I want to be in alignment with what you want. You know, and I remember telling God, like, I honestly remember telling God, like, you know, free me from this situation. Even though I really didn't want to be freed from the situation, I remember saying, like, free me from it, but only because it was so uncomfortable. So when it actually happened, I was just like, whoa, like I wasn't expecting it to happen like that. I wasn't expecting to feel those emotions and the feelings that I felt. It was like being ripped apart, and it was hard, y'all. It was hard. Like, that was a really dark season that I went through. And now looking back on it, I can really see how even though she was a great friend to me, that spirit of homosexuality was there, lurking in the background, waiting to manipulate me, and play on my vulnerability, because I was broken. I was hurt. I was dealing with rejection. I was dealing with abandonment. I didn't really know what love was. I was searching for love in all the wrong places. And I just wanted somebody to show me something different. And so when she came along, everything just felt right. You know, everything just felt right. But I was ignorant to the fact that there was also a spirit that was attached to that situation that was waiting to pretty much capture my soul, honestly. It wasn't until I really began to seek God and to pray after I, got over being angry and upset. It was in those moments of loneliness when I would just cry and ask God why, that he would begin to speak to me and reveal to me that, he had better for me. And that wasn't the lifestyle that I was supposed to be living, even though it felt right, it wasn't right. And y'all, it wasn't easy for me. It really wasn't. Long story short, I ended up, kind of getting over the situation, healing from the situation, and I met another girl. And we became instantly cool. She reminded me of my ex a lot. And so it didn't start off like as an attraction thing. It just started off as us being really great friends. And eventually we became closer, and she became like my best friend. And so I remember telling God, like God, I don't want to get caught up in this situation again. Like, I don't want to, go through this again. Like, I know that if any boundaries get crossed, I'm going to lose this person as a friend. Like, please help me in this situation, because I don't want to go through this again. Like, I cannot manage another heartbreak or go through any of this, pain or confusion again. And I remember being completely honest with God and telling him, like, Lord, I am attracted to this person. Please help me. Please deliver me, from the spirit of homosexuality, because I can't deal with this. Like, I'm not even completely over my ex, and here I am, finding myself in another situation that I don't want to deal with again. Like, I don't want to go through that again. So, honestly, me and the girl ended up becoming too close. Boundaries got crossed, and I found myself like hurt by the situation, honestly. And it wasn't like I was expecting a relationship or anything from it. It was just, the boundary should have never gotten crossed. And so I remember going to God and telling him, like, I'm done with this. Like, I am so done with this. Like, I cannot continue to put myself in these situations to where I keep having my heart broken. I'm pretty much at this point, I'm breaking my own heart because I know better. And I don't want to keep dealing with this. And I remember asking God, please deliver me from the spirit of homosexuality. Like, I want to be done with it. Like, I want to be done with it. Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to have an attraction to women. I don't want to be entangled with women. I don't want anything. Like, I want to be free from this spirit. And I think it was because I was really honest. And I remember telling God, like, I was telling him, like, Lord, like, if you don't help me, like, I'm just going to stay here. Because in all honesty, and like, I like it. Like, I'm attracted to women. I like this person. I'm not too mad that the boundary even got crossed. I know that it's something that we weren't supposed to do, but it happened. But Lord, if you, like, I need you to deliver me, because if you don't, then I'm going to find myself back into this lifestyle, back into this situation. And ultimately, I don't want that. Like, I want to be in alignment. Like, I've come too far. Like, I've already healed, from, certain traumas, and I don't want to go backwards. Like, I want to keep moving forward. And one day I remember just coming here, and I just felt heavy. Like, I went and took my kids to school, and I came back home, and I just felt heavy. Like, I just felt heavy, and I felt in my spirit to just pray. Just turn on my worship music and just cry out to God. And that's exactly what I did. I came here, I turned my worship music on, and I just began to weep, and I just began to cry, and I began speaking in tongues, and I just began to just pray, in my heavenly language, and I just began to pray and just seek God. And then honestly, y'all, I began to scream. I had never experienced anything like that in my life. It wasn't like a high pitched scream, it was like a deep scream, like from my gut. Like it felt like a release, and I just began to scream, and I just screamed, and I just screamed, and I could hear the Lord telling me, this is me delivering you from the spirit of homosexuality. This is me setting you free. Like, this is you becoming free. And when I got done screaming, I felt like the presence of God just come over me. Like I felt at peace. My spirit felt at peace. Like I had never experienced anything like that before. And I knew that I had been delivered from the spirit of homosexuality. I knew it. I could feel it. And so I just began to thank God, and I just began to say, Lord, I thank you. Like, I thank you for setting me free. I thank you for delivering me. I thank you for just being free and not being bound by that spirit anymore, not being manipulated by that spirit. And so, since then, I want to say that was, back in maybe March. It may have been February. And so since then, I haven't been consumed or dealing with the spirit of homosexuality or having those thoughts. I can say that it's not like it wasn't like a right then, like, everything is gone. What I found out, in me being delivered, some people, they have, alcohol addiction or whatever, and when they're delivered from that spirit, alcohol may make them sick. They can't drink it at all. But for me, it wasn't like that. Even though I wasn't finding myself having as many thoughts about women or dealing with that, when something would come up, I would immediately say, like, Lord, I surrender these thoughts to you. And in me walking in my deliverance and saying, Lord, like, this is still something that I struggle with, from time to time, but at the end of the day, I choose you. I'm not going to, where the spirit was once consuming me and taking over me, now I'm submitting that spirit to God, and I'm saying, Lord, like, I surrender this to you. Like, these thoughts I give to you, these feelings I give to you. And now looking back, I haven't struggled with that spirit. It is, me having that posture and saying, Lord, regardless of what I understand, regardless of what I don't understand, regardless of what I feel, regardless of what it may look like, I choose you. I choose you. And in me having that heart posture, and in me saying that, it has helped me continuously live a lifestyle that's pleasing to God. Not only am I not dealing with the spirit of homosexuality, I'm not, having sexual intercourse. I have been abstinent for a really long time now. And I just submit my whole body to God. Like, I want to have a kingdom spouse. I want to have a kingdom relationship. And I just want to be right, y'all. Like, I just want to be right. Is it easy? No, it's not easy. But it's so worth it, because I know that every time it rains and every time I face a storm, I know that when I see that rainbow, it reminds me of the promises that God has for me. And I know that there is somebody out there who is going to be the man that God has for me, and that is going to love me the way that I'm meant to be loved, without any confusion, without any turmoil, without, you know, any pain or strife or fear of going to hell. You know, I'm going to be able to freely love the person that God has for me. So today I'm thankful. Today I am proud to be delivered from the spirit of homosexuality. And I hope that this video has, you know, helped someone who may be struggling like me. Regardless of what people say, there's still hope for you. We may not understand it. You may be in a situation like me where you're happy, like you're in love with this person and you're happy, and you want to stay there. But ultimately, that's not the will of God. Like, God created man and woman, and if we're choosing to say that, Lord, you know, we want to walk in obedience and we want to do the things you have called us to do, and we want to live our lives pleasing to you, then we just have to go by that. You know, that's just, you know, a rule that we have to follow, whether we agree with it, whether we understand it or not. And I can honestly say that, you know, after being out of that situation and the Lord really revealing to me, and opening my eyes, I can say that there was some, you know, trauma bonding that me and my ex definitely connected on. She was also dealing with rejection, dealing with abandonment. And so just having those like spirits bring us together, it was much deeper than just us, you know, loving each other. We were caught up in a lie, honestly. And, you know, to this day, my ex and I, we still, you know, I would say, like, you know, there was a time when we didn't speak at all. Like, we didn't even have no conversations. But for some reason, I would ask God, like, Lord, you took everybody else. Like, why is this person still around? Like, you know, why am I able to still pick up this phone and call and talk to her, you know, and have a conversation? But I'm thankful, because even though I hurt her, and even though I honestly didn't intend to, she knows that I care about her deeply. But even in the midst of it all, she, you know, now that she's, you know, she's healed, you know, from the situation, she can respect where I am, and I appreciate her for that. She doesn't make me feel bad about the situation, and I'm allowed to, you know, kind of be myself and love God, you know, and share how God has, you know, been changing my life, and share my testimonies even with her, and talk about how good God is. And it's just an amazing feeling to know, you know, where we were, dealing with a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, on both of our ends, because I hurt her. I think that was the hardest thing that I had to deal with throughout our breakup, is knowing that I hurt the person who really, truly cared about me. That broke my heart, honestly. That broke my heart, because I know how she felt about me, and I know how she made me feel, and that was something that I never really wanted to do. Like, I never intended on hurting her at all. But when the Lord says it's time, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Like I had no control over that, honestly. Like, I had no control, and it wasn't easy. But now looking back on it, I'm grateful, because I'm able to share, you know, where I thought I had, you know, lost the person that I was in love with and lost my best friend. You know, I have my friend, back, but in a different aspect, in a different respect, certain boundaries. And honestly, hopefully, I'm praying, one day the Lord saves her too. Like you never know what happens. Because I care about her soul and I care about, just her as a person. And I just want to say that I'm not looking down on anybody who is in a homosexual lifestyle, because, that's just not my posture. But I am, 10 toes down for Jesus. And I am, going to say that you too can be saved and you too can be delivered from that spirit. And if you say that you love God and you say that you are a Christian and you're walking with God, then we can't live that lifestyle, y'all. That's just not a lifestyle that we can live. No matter how, in love you say that you are, we just can't do it. And ultimately, once the Lord separates you and opens your eyes, you'll see that that lifestyle is wrapped up in pain, wrapped up in confusion. God is not a God of confusion, wrapped up in so much confusion about who God created you to be, and God intended man and female, male and female, and that's just what it is. Honestly, that's just what it is. And yeah, so that is my story. And like I said, I am proud to be delivered from the spirit of homosexuality, and I pray that my testimony will be able to help someone else who may be struggling with that spirit. God has now elevated me and turned my pain into my purpose. And I am now helping other women who are struggling with that spirit as well, helping them get clarity, helping them become free and delivered. So if you need someone that you can talk to, if you need an accountability partner, if you need just a shoulder to lean on, to kind of help you through this journey, then reach out to me. Definitely reach out to me. I'll have all my information in the comments below. But yeah, I'm here to help those who want to be helped, and create a safe space for those who want to be delivered from the spirit of homosexuality. And at the end of the day, God loves you. He may not love the sin. He doesn't love the sin, but he does love you, and he wants you set free. So don't wait, y'all. Don't wait, because hell is real. And you may not understand it now. You may be confused, but one thing that you aren't confused about is that hell is real. That hell is real. That heaven is real. And even if you can't understand, like for me, even though I may not have understood a lot when I was going through, my situation, I knew that I didn't want to go to hell. Like, I knew that I didn't want to sacrifice, being ignorant, to burn in hell. Like, I just did it. Like, yeah, I did it. And so, I said all that to say, don't sit in your confusion. Don't sit in your struggle. If you feel like the Lord is calling you out of that lifestyle, then definitely reach out to me, and I can help you pray through this thing, help you get some clarity, especially my women who I'm really catered to. There is a man out there that will love you the way that God intends for you to be loved. So that's it. Happy Promise Month, and hopefully one day you too can be proud to be delivered from the spirit of homosexuality. Later.